Hello, people. Somebody had asked me about drawing hands and if I could give them any tips on drawing hands. So, what I'm gonna do is this is my way of drawing hands. I am no anatomy expert. I know some basic muscle structures. I know sort of the way the hand is laid out and the way it works and everything. So what I can do is I'll first start off with just showing you, let's say we'll just make it a simple palm of the hand, and then up here is where the fingers will be, and thumb, and then the thumb is usually the knuckle there. But the thing to remember is if we're drawing this hand, it always comes up in a gesture like so. So here's one finger, the next index finger, middle finger, ring finger, and then we got the pinky right there. And I roughly think of this as halfway, the same size. And when you're doing it, we got this. There's a big muscle here, and then what you got is this web. I call it the web. Here's the heel of the thumb, comes up, and then this knuckle right here of the thumb roughly lines up where these knuckles are in the hand. Right in there, on the other side, let's say. So, and we'll put a little wrist on there. Actually, a little further down. And the thing to remember as I put this very loose drawing in here is you have this rhythm right here. Here's the rhythm of the tip of the fingers right there. And then you got the rhythm of this set of knuckles and the same thing there. So there's knuckles here, 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 here. But they're not straight across. They have a curve to them. And so do these right here. There's another curve right in there. And we're looking, like I said, we're looking at the palm, breaking the wrist. And this knuckle right there is usually a bit below these knuckles right there. And we got our thumb that comes up. And we got basic placement of the hand. Let me look at mine real quick. And these are the folds in the hand, love line, lifeline, whatever all that stuff is. And there's the folds right there. So we're basically just looking at the palm of the hand here. And for me, it is really, a lot of it is just these rhythms that I see. And then you'll just draw in the creases quickly of the folds of the hands. And within here, understand there is the bones, and all the bones, what they do is they all come in. It's sort of like they come in here. If it's the other side of the hand, let's say we're gonna do very quick. Same thing. This time I'll sprawl them out a little bit more. And 2, 3, 4. Go down there. Just like that. So. And now we're looking more at the top of the hand. Here's our fingers. And this is a real simple formula I use. I'm just not bright enough to remember all the different names. And then here's our rhythm again. This is very important for me. There's the rhythm there. Here's the rhythm here. And here's the rhythm there. Remember that it's on a curve. It does not go straight across. These curve around, and now realize these shapes a little bit more of the fingers. I'll flush it out, realize the drawing more as we go forward. But the thing to remember is right here on the back of the hand here, you got your knuckles that are right here, right there, and then you got your bones if we're drawing them inside, and each there's a bone there, and that is true for every finger. You got these 3 separate bones, and they are very flexible. And then we're looking on the top here. Here's the knuckles there. Knuckles, 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 knuckles. I mean, the hand is a complex part of the body, extremely. If you ever find you have nothing to draw, just draw your non-drawing hand. And, you know, it's endless as far as what you can draw with it. So on the back of the hand, think of the way that all of these bones and tendons, they all come in here. If you look on the back, you can see, especially like in my hand, you can see all the tendons and everything pulling in basically down to this point. So that's also comes in very helpful, especially when you're drawing a top shot of the hand. And then in here, the bones again, because remember that it's 3 bones. 1, 2, 3, and this one comes in here. Now, I recommend if you want to really understand the skeleton of the hand, just go online and check out there's some great sites out there. Proco, Steve Houston's, Glenn Vilppu, check them out, and they're masters. They really understand the whole structure. But I'm just gonna basically show you my approach. So, all right, we got the bottom of the hand here and the top of the hand here. But the question that was really being drawn to me is, how do you create poses out of your head? And what I do is I think of these rhythm lines, very important for me. I think that I know that the hand roughly breaks in half at this point, like I was showing you before, roughly. Everyone's hands are a little bit different. I know that within here, this section, you have that web that comes down there. And then the overlapping on the top of the hand, the fingers overlap that web. And it's the same thing right there with the web of the thumb. On the underside, this part is overlapping the rest of it. What I do is I try to think in the forms of boxes. And I know a lot of people don't like drawing these things, but it's very helpful to help construct what you're coming up with. Let me move this out of the way. Here I'm drawing a hand that's out of my head. Here's a gesture. I know on the other side, this is why boxes and drawing forms, boxes, circles, rectangles, cylinders, all of that is so important for all types of drawing. And if you're doing animation drawings, if you're doing more figurative drawings, more realistic, I just can't tell you enough how important it is to draw these boxes and all that stuff. So here, let's say we're looking at a hand that is, it's the left hand, and what happens is the left hand, here's the thumb coming off there, and I know from drawing so many boxes, I'm just going to put in a gesture for the thumb there, and I'm going to make this gesture right here, the finger pointing out. And I know with the way that the fingers, there's always rhythms. You can see the rhythms here. If I go like this, you can see these rhythms. The knuckles follow the same rhythms. And then the placement, if I move my hand this way, you'll see these rhythms with the knuckles and the thumb. Now the thumb, you know, makes us different other animals, is we can do that with the thumb, we can put it, sprawl it way out, we can do a lot of different things with the thumb. But the rhythm basically of all the four fingers, for the most part, there's usually a rhythm to it. Now, can there be a pose like this? Absolutely. Or all the other poses, you know, peace, whatever you want, you can always vary those. But for the most part, when the hand is relaxed or expressing something, or even like a fist, you still have rhythms in there. So then I got this, and I'm thinking of the rhythm, the foreshortening of the rhythm from the fingers down here as these fingers are bending down. And when I realize this drawing, you'll see it a little bit more clear. There's that knuckle for the thumb. And this is how I start off. I draw very loose whenever I'm first drawing, and then I'll just go into the drawing, start to flush it out, make it a little clearer, put darker lines. I try not to get too, anal in the beginning about it. I try to just stay loose and feel those forms that are basically all in there. And there we got the underside. These fingers over here, the pinky and the ring finger, you really wouldn't see. I don't know, you might want to see it down there, but there we got a little, quick sketch of a hand, the left hand just pointing out. And if I see, like I'm looking at it now, I'm thinking this thumb is a little short. I'll just bring it out there. And this is a sketch. I just created a sketch. And like I'd said before, with the thumb, you can do many things with it. And it's also fine if you want to use your other your non-drawing hand as a guide. Like if I'm looking here, I can see that this box is going that way, and the thumb's bending in a little bit, and there's the crease there. Fingernails help to show direction, and we got this big knuckle here, and it just feeds into there. So now we've created this hand that is pointing, and I just changed the thumb. So it's really just that's how I go about it. So I'll slow down a little bit here. We'll do a drawing of this hand over here. If you can see my pointer here. And let me first do this. And I'm not saying it's simple. Hands are extremely complicated. It's just over time I've tried to figure out a simpler way to draw them, because I'm drawing a lot out of my head. You need to, because I'm an animator, and you need to be able to draw out of your head. And so, I shouldn't say we'll just go back to this. All right, we're just going to put in this hand. So I'm looking at this hand. I'm just seeing the big shape there, back of the hand, and look, here's the rhythm again of these fingers right there. And so I just put those in, the knuckles, rhythm again, coming around. You'll see it's round, it's not straight, it's got a little bit of curve. And now what I do know for sure is that this box, as I'm thinking about it, of this top part of the index finger is going away from us in that direction. And as it goes down, each finger goes away from us more and more in foreshortening. And then up here, this is the wedge of the thumb I always use, and there's a muscle in here. You can see that right there. But if you're drawing out of your head, sometimes it gets kind of complicated. And there's my gesture for the thumb right there. And will I change it and make things shorter, a little smaller, more dynamic? Absolutely, I will. Knuckle, knuckle. I know that the crease of the thumb is there, has a break. And now I'm going to come back to the fingers. I know there's folds in here because this is a box that is coming out that way and then is going away from us and foreshortening. If that was the arrow, that part, this part of the finger is now going away from us, and then there's this little end of the finger. Now, is that going to be, are we going to see that in the rest of the fingers? No. If you look here, what's prominent here is the knuckles, and the knuckles are a very big part of the expression of the gesture of this pose that we're looking at here. And then it comes out here, and all of these, I know they're going away from us and turning these fingers. So with that in mind, okay, so now I got my knuckles right there, and remember what I was showing you here. Where did those go? They all come out from this section. Even though the hand, the bottom of the hand, understand there is a lot of meat on the bottom. We're just going to say this is the bottom of the hand. Here's the wrist. Down here on the bottom right here, it's very meaty right there. There's a lot of cushion in there, and it's the muscles that are in there. So when it tightens up, it gets tighter. When it's soft, it's like a pillow. And then if it's on a surface, it will squash a little bit. So just remember that there's always this, what I think of as just this pillow that's on the bottom, because up here is where you have all your bones and everything. Okay, so now we'll come back to this. What makes a drawing work is for me, it's just working it and seeing if it's looking right. And I'll go over and over a drawing. Now there are times I study, I'll open up the anatomy books, and I will, if I'm confused about something, I open it up, I sit in there, and I try to study everything and, what's connected to what if I'm confused about it. And I'll draw it out, numerous times if necessary for me to try to retain it. And there are other times when it just flows better, and that's just part of the nature for me when I'm drawing. Sometimes the drawings just happen better. So as I keep working it, you'll see how the drawing becomes just more flushed out, a little more realized. When I say that, what I mean by it is, recognizable. And I make changes as I'm doing it. So, that's not a very good one. Now look, does this look like this thumb? No, I wasn't referring to it all that much. Like I said, I try to push myself to try to be able to see the things without always having to have reference. So now let's say that I'm going to just create a hand completely out of my head. And I'll go back and we'll take a look at some of the ones screen left here. But I'm just gonna start coming up with something. And I don't know. I'm just playing around here. Here I got a box. It's gonna be, now I've decided as I'm starting to draw my box in there, it's gonna be the underside of the hand. And main thing I want to get is the gestures first. And here's that rhythm I was telling you about. Now does this look like a hand? No, it does not yet. But then I'm thinking, there's the box. Fingers are mounted on there, like so. And now I'm thinking about, okay, the thumb. I know the thumb is somewhere down here. So I'm just drawing in the gesture. You can see it's just the gesture. I'm not getting too caught up in trying to think anatomically right now. And now I'm thinking, well, I know these knuckles, again, have a certain rhythm to them. And it's going to be a hand that's, it's going to be doing something like that. And trust me, I know that I'm going to be changing a lot, like the placement of the thumb. Maybe I'll have it just more foreshortened here. But first I'm going to come up here. I try to simplify everything in the beginning, because the last thing I want to do is get too caught up in the anatomy and all that. And then I'll shorten up the front of that box. Knuckle, fold. When I draw these folds in, what I'm thinking about is I know there's a knuckle on the other side of them. That's going to be down there. Okay. A little too far more. Bring that in. If it helps, I'll actually draw circles in there so I know where the knuckle is landing. Now I'm squaring off the fingertips a little bit. There'll be a pinch in here. I know there's a knuckle up here. And now I know about that web. I know there's this, I call it a web. It's a piece of skin that is it squashes, it stretches, and I know it's there, and I know that's pulling off from this angle. And I'm gonna put now I've decided I'm gonna just place the thumb somewhere in the middle of those two gestures that I've created. More full. Pinch in the wrist there. To be aware. Knuckle. And now I'm just starting to realize that more of these overlapping forms, meaning when I say that, the overlapping forms, I'm talking about this finger in front of this finger, this one in front of that one, and so on. And just like this web, I know that the thumb is in front right there. The thing about me, I draw dark. Everyone draws different. That's way off right there. Knuckle, 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 knuckle. And yeah, we got something. I guess it's okay. And now I am going to look at how that comes up. And, you know, I got a hand that's sort of expressive, feeling like it's too short back there. But this is my approach. There's one more hand. Let's see, let's go to this. Let's get one. Well, let's take this one. Okay, here we got two hands. The thing I want you to notice again, I'm just gonna put in the gesture of the big shape because we can see it there of two hands, two arms, and I'm gonna break these down very simple shapes. I'll make them into forms later, but right now I'm just thinking shapes. And right here, what I'm doing there, I'm thinking about the rhythm right there, and I just drew the rhythm for these fingers that are overlapping there. And the hand comes in there, and we see the shape of that part of the hand coming from screen left, and then over here we know that somewhere in here is where this thumb is going to land from the person who's coming in from screen right. A little composition. Pen. Okay, we'll just study this for a little bit right there. I got my rhythms here. Now, are these evenly spaced out? No. So I'm going to just start off big and put in these big shapes, but I'm going to follow that rhythm line with those fingers right there, and then we got this unusual that's actually the index finger of this arm right there, but also I'm looking at the rhythm of these knuckles right there. What I mean by that is I'm seeing a line come through there and up and over, but I'm going to put in this rhythmic line, a flowing line, so when I go to put in those knuckles of these particular fingers, they're going to have a certain sense of flow and rhythm to them, even if, for instance, this index finger right there is being cut off a little bit. And now I'm looking at these knuckles up here. It's going to be the same rhythm line as this one down here. So I know exactly where they're going to line up, and then I'll start to think about the boxes, the forms, the shapes. Look, you can make these into cylinders, you can make them into boxes, whatever works for you. And here, what we have here is we're showing, by me putting that in, I'm showing a little bit of indication of where those knuckles are gonna line up. And now I'll start flushing out a little bit more. Now that one right here, because I'm looking, I got this one. I'm not doing it out of my head. It's very interesting the way this pinky comes in a little bit. So I'm going to be aware of that when I go back in to, let me make this a little bit bigger. When I go back in to flush it out more. Okay, so I got, basically right now I feel like I've got this rhythm going here, this part of it done, and trust me, when I do it, I'm all over the place. Giving this demonstration, I'm focusing on certain areas, but when I'm just doing it by myself, I do this. I'll work on this hand over here, thinking about, there's a big muscle in there. There it is, tendons coming off. Maybe I should just draw and not talk so much. Rhythm of the coming up, and here's the rhythm of those knuckles. Note how this finger, and I'm not trying to copy it, I'm just using that as reference. And there's this twist there, and if I can make it more dynamic by doing something I feel will make it more dynamic, like for instance, I'm going to make this thumb, instead of it coming up that way, I'm going to have it come up a little bit sharper that way. I feel like it will give it a little bit more power, more of a dynamic grab from that hand. And I know it's grabbing this arm. I could put a little bit of pinch in there, a little squash on that, just to give it a little more drama. I'm not worried if there are things that at this point are looking off. I know I can go back in and change it. And look at that thumb. This thumb is extremely squashed. And it's also coming right at us if it was a box down here. So I'm gonna exaggerate that squash right there. Maybe put a little pinch in there. I'll exaggerate the foreshortening of angle of it. And over here we got this pinch right there where that pinky is really digging in. Also, with the rhythms I was talking about, I think about that's where the fingernails will line up, because that's a lot of times when I see hands and people are drawing them, they tend to start drawing the fingers individually, and that's why, once again, it's so important for me to have those rhythm lines that I always put in, because I know automatically where the knuckles, fingernails, and so on, where they're gonna line up. Because if you start drawing them individually, you might put this knuckle way down here, and that's what makes it look a little wonky. So just remember those rhythmic lines. Maybe I went too far there. Change. I'm going to show this knuckle there, and I'm going to pinch that a little bit. Get rid of that. Now I'll start to show the angles. Squaring it off more to just give it more tension, realizing the forms more. And this is not looking right, so I think I'll just cheat that a little bit with that finger. A little more pronounced. I really don't like that. Bring this over. leave. Oh, I would stop there. Not real happy with this, but I would stop there and just continue on. Move it out of the way. Okay, and we'll do one last one just out of my head. Okay, I think I'm burned out. Anyway, I hope this helped. Good luck in drawing hands. This one needs a little more help. Bye bye.